Hey man, what's good with y'all? How y'all doing? How's everybody out there? Good evening, everybody. You know what I'm saying? So look, today's episode, we're going to be talking about Drake dropping a lawsuit on iHeartRadio. I'm sorry that the 6 o'clock show didn't come out today. Usually don't come out on the weekends anyway, but I figured I'll just put one out now. It should be about 11 o'clock or something like that. I don't know. It's going to come out a little bit late. So essentially, y'all getting 3 episodes today. All right, so look, man, we're gonna get into this episode about Drake settling with iHeartRadio. So look, before I get into that, I gotta get the legendary spill. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know where to find the ones that just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content. Absolutely free. But if you want to leave a donation, link is in description. Cash App, no more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. I went from 1,300 subscribers to over 13, 14, 15, 16,000 subscribers. And yes, I am the king of the North. Let me know what kingdom you're from. Also, too, March 23rd, there will be a battle, a live event on this page, a live battle rap event. Live. You know what I'm saying? That's be the first live. So me versus J Dev. If you don't know who J Dev is, look him up. He's pretty good. Really good, actually. So it's gonna be a good battle. Yeah, man. Also, too, go subscribe to S. Scott Bars. You'll see that in the description too. You know what I'm saying? He's almost at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be trying to help people get to 1,000 subscribers so they can get monetized, so they can start making money. You know what I mean? I remember the hard days. So let's get to it, man. Let's do it. And yeah, we'll be back to discuss. All right, this comes courtesy of the Ville. Shout out to the Ville, man. I'm gonna send him some money on Cash App. You know what I'm saying? Right in the top left-hand corner, right-hand corner, left on your side. All right, so let's get it, man.
Okay, so if you don't know, Drake had just made a settlement with iHeartRadio. It was recently reported that Drake had did a settlement or had reached a amicable resolution of the dispute to the satisfaction of both sides between Drake and iHeartRadio. Now, what does this all mean? It looks like Drake decided to settle with iHeartRadio. If you don't know, Drake is also going against UMG for similar issues. Now, the reason why this is a big
Now, this one is different from the UMG one. I believe this one is in Texas. I'm not sure, but I believe it's in Texas. I believe this lawsuit is in Texas. I'm not sure, but this one is for the Payola, saying that people was paying the bots or whatever, and the other one is for the defamation. So these are two lawsuits, two different ones. So he's settling on this one, kind of absorbs UMG from the Payola thing. And well, Spotify's not in it. I think Spotify got out of it. So I want to see how this plays out. Let's keep it going.
Deal is because there's a lot of contradictions of Drake settling with iHeartRadio over Payola in regards to Not Like Us compared to his lawsuit with UMG for defamation for Not Like Us. Drake's situation with iHeartRadio over allegations of Payola and his lawsuit with Universal Music Group for defamation presents an interesting set of contradictions, especially when it comes to the public perception of his actions and the legal battles he's involved in. Drake and iHeartRadio settled a legal dispute over allegations of payola, which is the practice of paying radio stations or DJs to play certain songs, which is illegal in this case. It was suggested that Kendrick Lamar's song, Not Like Us, had been played heavily on the iHeartRadio station in exchange for financial incentives, while the exact term of the
And my thing is like, how did he know this? How did he know this? Like, how do you know that someone was paid to play a song? Unless either you participated in that before, or unless you know someone that did it and they paid and basically did it for you, for you to figure it out. How would you know? You know what I'm saying? How would he know that?
settlement was never fully disclosed. The fact that iHeartRadio and Drake settled implies that there was some level of agreement or financial compensation to avoid a prolonged legal battle. However, the very fact that Drake settled in the context could imply that he or his team wanted to avoid the public fallout and reputational damage that could come from the full trial. Pay attention to the public fallout and reputational damage. In a completely different legal matter, Drake filed a lawsuit against Universal Music Group for defamation. Drake accused UMG of spreading false rumors that had damaged his reputation and career. While the specifics of this lawsuit are not widely known, in general, it revolves around reputational harm caused by UMG's alleged actions, allegedly. But this is the contradiction between.
And that's the crazy part, right? So on one hand, a lot of y'all thought that he was suing UMG for the payola, but he's actually not. You know what I'm saying? He was suing iHeartRadio and Spotify for that, and Apple, but I don't think Apple got out of that joint quick. Spotify got out, and now he settled with iHeart because I think that he knows that if he goes down that road, he can be exposed as well. And I'm telling y'all, this is all a play. He's gonna drop this too. He's gonna drop this. It's gonna happen eventually. It's gonna happen. In my opinion, he's gonna drop this.
These two cases involving UMG and iHeartRadio with Drake. This is the settlement versus the lawsuit. On one hand, Drake settles with iHeartRadio over the Payola issue, which is a major concern for artists and radio stations in the music industry. The settlement in this case could be seen as an effort to protect his reputation or avoid public backlash. But on the other hand, in the defamation lawsuit against UMG, Drake is actively fighting to protect his name for what he perceives as false rumors. Both actions are about defending his public image, but they seem to be in direct opposition when it comes to the way he handles these legal matters, settling quiet in one case with iHeartRadio and seeking aggressive legal action with UMG. If the Payola allegations against Drake were true, it would imply that his career has at least partially been influenced by illegal payments for radio play. While it's possible that these allegations were exaggerated or misunderstood, a settlement may suggest some degree of responsibility or guilt without directly admitting it.
That's 100% facts. If you reach in a settlement, to me, that means that whatever you believe that was actually true, most likely wasn't. And you reached in a settlement because you don't want to be a part of whatever was coming down the pipeline. Because I'm telling you now, if they would have went to trial, he would have got exposed as well. He would have to cover that up. Because you're not going to sit here and tell me that Drake never benefited from this, everything that Drake is fighting against is everything. Even the lawsuit, the defamation lawsuit. He defamed people too. He did the same thing with Kendrick, lying on him, saying things about him and his wife. He said things about Pusha T and his woman. He been doing this. So now you out here telling everybody now you out here telling everybody now that you are the victim, but you settling out of court with this. Now I don't know if the money was involved. I have no clue. But why did you settle?
If he's actively suing UMG for defamation, it creates the perception that Drake is either avoiding admitting any wrongdoing, such as paying for radio play, while still trying to defend his reputation in other areas. As far as public perception, fans and the public might see the contradiction as a double standard. Drake may be protecting his brand by settling quietly on one issue, while on the other hand, he's fighting to clear his name on another issue. The discrepancy could lead people to question the integrity of his actions and the transparency of the music industry, especially when it comes to the mechanics of how songs reach the public, whether it be payola or promotional tactics. In conclusion, the contradiction between Drake settling the payola case with iHeartRadio and suing UMG for a defamation lies in different ways he chooses to handle situations that could harm his public image. Settling with
That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm telling you, he's trying to protect as much of his image that he could. And let's be clear here. I understand why he's trying to do that. Because he already know that a lot of harm is going to come to him in his through his image. Through his image, a lot of harm is going to come. I'm not saying that he's going to get hurt, but a lot of harm is going to come through his image, because Drake is definitely skating on thin ice right now. With all of these different allegations, all these different things, he's really playing with fire right now. And I'm telling y'all, it's gonna come and burn him. It's gonna burn him. He's gonna get burnt. And he ain't got nobody to blame but himself. He really don't.
iHeartRadio suggests a tragic move to avoid further controversy, while suing for UMG defamation shows a more combative approach when he feels unjustly wronged. Together, these cases present a complex view of how an artist navigates their reputations in the music industry, especially when both public image and legal matters are at stake. Following all of this that has been happening, the FCC have actually been looking into iHeartRadio at the same time. FCC puts iHeartRadio under the artist.
See what I mean? That's why he settled right there. The FCC is looking into iHeartRadio. So he has to settle because something's coming down the pipeline. And if iHeartRadio gets caught doing that and Drake is a big part of it, he could be implicated into all this. That's exactly why he dropped out of that. Whether they decided to do it together or whether they decided to do it apart, or whether he decided or whether iHeartRadio decided, somebody did. And this is exactly why, I'm telling you.
Performance Payola microscope, basically meaning that the FCC is looking into iHeartRadio for any type of activity involving Payola. Now, you may be asking yourself, how does this affect Drake? Drake's connection to iHeartRadio, if iHeartRadio were being investigated by the FCC for Payola, and if Drake's music had been tied to the radio station in a way that suggested Payola, in example, financial incentives or other benefits for heavy airplay, Drake could become indirectly associated with those Payola practices. Even though the settlement between Drake and iHeartRadio may have cleared up legal concerns regarding Payola, an FCC investigation could reignite public speculation about legitimacy of Drake's radio play, especially for his massive hits that received heavy rotation on iHeartRadio stations.
I told y'all. I told you. I'm telling y'all, this is the reason why he backed out of this whole thing. Now, I don't know if it was him. I don't know if they did it together. I don't know. But this is the reason why. Because someone told him that something's coming down the pipeline. And what does it look like you suing iHeartRadio for Payola and they was out here doing the same thing for your material, for your biggest hits? And they find this out, and the FCC finds this out. Then what? What do you say then? Now you look stupid. Drake's playing a very dangerous game, man. I'm telling y'all.
This renewed scrutiny could cast a shadow over how his music reached its massive success. As far as legal and reputational consequences, Drake's reputation as an artist could be questioned if it's believed that his success was partially due to legal payola practices. While the FCC investigation may not directly implicate him, the association could cause public backlash, especially if there are any claims of evidence that his label or his team was involved in such practices. If new evidence emerges of the investigation reveals that iHeartRadio engaged in illegal activities regarding artist promotion, there could be further legal implications for both iHeartRadio and any involved artist, including Drake, even though they may have already settled their previous case. This investigation by the FCC could bring more transparency to how an artist and radio station engage in promotional tactics. That Payola is a wide.
I believe it. I do believe that this is going to open the door for a lot of people to see how the radio, the streaming platforms, and how they actually operate as far as getting your song out to the masses. I'm telling you now, it's going to be, if these people get exposed, they're going to unveil a big chunk of corruption on everybody's part. And that's why I said Drake in his feelings, but at the same time, he could end up burning the whole music industry down. And it's nothing going to happen, obviously. People are going to forget about it eventually. They're going to be like, oh, whatever. So what? We knew that already. That's how people are going to look at it. It's not going to be a big deal. Certain artists, as a matter of fact, for the most part, it's really not going to affect everybody.
Spread practice involving multiple artists, including Drake. This could reshape how the public views the relationship between the radio stations, artists, and the label. If the investigation uncovers systemic payola practices, it could trigger more scrutiny of all major artists, including those like Drake, who benefit from significant radio play, even if the allegations are not directly related to him. Drake's success, particularly on mainstream platforms like iHeartRadio, could be seen in a new light. So, in conclusion, while Drake may not be directly accused of payola himself, an FCC investigation into iHeartRadio's practices could stir public concern over the ethics of a radio promotion, potentially casting a shadow over his career. His previous settlement with iHeartRadio could be revisited as a sign of complicity or merely a strategic legal decision to avoid further public controversy. Either way, the scrutiny on iHeartRadio would likely contribute to a broader examination of the industry's promotional practices, which could have both legal and reputational consequences for anyone involved, including Drake. So this may be.
That's what I'm saying. So he kind of knows, and whoever's around him knows that, yeah, you got to get up out of this, because if it goes down and they find out that you are trying to sue them for payola, and they come out and say, well, yeah, Drake was paying us to play his music too. Oh man, it's not gonna look good. It's not gonna look good.
The main reason, potentially, allegedly, why he decided to settle with iHeartRadio, and why there's so many contradictions with him going against UMG at a different way than he's going against iHeartRadio. Settling with iHeartRadio, but still fighting UMG, it makes you think, is he only settling because iHeartRadio is being looked at by the FCC and wants to avoid all those situations? But it doesn't matter, because the FCC could always bring up those situations involving Drake, use them as a reference. But either way, there is a lot of contradictions with the cases that Drake has against iHeartRadio and UMG. I'm just trying to make sense of it all.
All right, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to the video. Yeah, man. I think that for the most part, Drake knows. Drake has he has a strong PR team around him when it comes to his image. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to his image, not to say that they are perfect, but when it comes to his image, they want to make sure that he stays intact. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I look at it from this point of view. If he settled with iHeartRadio, then obviously in his head, Not Like Us wasn't botted. It wasn't botted, because if you really felt that Not Like Us was botted, then why are you settling with iHeartRadio? That's a big reason why you settling. It could be because you know that something's going to happen and you might be involved. That's what I think. I think he's settling. I think he settled, or he went along with the settlement because he knows that all of that was bullshit. He knows it. He had no proof of it. It was just like a scare tactic. So, all right, man. Thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. Have yourself a good night. 8 o'clock show coming up in the morning on a Sunday morning. Yes. All right, man. See y'all. Peace. Bye.